Moving towards the end of 2020, and 2021 is going to be a business evolution. It's the new game of business coming up. So joining me on Meet the Pros today, we've got Ian Ash, Brian Hanna, and Gerald Vats. Welcome to the call, guys.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
So the topic for today is we're moving towards the end of 2020, and 2021 is going to be a business evolution. It's the new game of business coming up. I just want to get your sort of spin on what do you think that's going to look like. So I might start with Ian. Give us a bit of your thought process around 2021.
So anything over 2020 is going to be an improvement, I hope. 2020 actually has been an interesting year for us, and I think as Benjamin Franklin said, out of adversity comes opportunity, and I think that's really what 2021 is going to provide for us. We've had a taste of how to do business differently. I think most business owners probably have got a very familiar acquaintance now with Zoom. So remote working and interacting more online has definitely become more of a way of life, but we will, I'm sure, go back to more face-to-face because you simply can't beat it. The other thing I think we're going to see is a tremendous amount of growth. There's been an awful lot of pent-up demand, an awful lot of goods and products and services that I think are just waiting to be unleashed. So I think we're actually going to be entering a growth period in 2021. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Brian, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I'd probably concur with that. I think we've been through a pretty tough 8, 9, and will be 12 months by the end of the year. I think we will come back to some face-to-face and that really human interaction, because that's just we are as peace. But definitely moving forward, digital, remote, being able to engage your clients without actually having to meet with them face-to-face or have a shop front is going to be great opportunities for those that take up the challenge and embrace it. And I think there'll be new opportunities that we don't even really can't identify at this stage that will spring up in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. And Gerald, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, we already seen very generous tax concessions from the tax office and the government.
Yeah.
I think that will continue not just in 2021 year, but in future years as well. So we can expect a lot of support from the government on coming to the tax system. So we just want to keep an eye on what all those concessions are, how we can access them, what the eligibility criteria is, and just making sure we don't miss any of those concessions. So they're quite significant and they're quite generous and quite broad.
So really there's a lot of money to be had from the government if people are aware of it and they can take advantage of it. I think from the other two guys, we've talked a bit about, this whole idea of there's new opportunities coming up, but how do you think someone prepares for that? So, Ian, what are your thoughts? What do you suggest people do to prepare for this opportunity?
I think what we've seen in this year is people kind of reevaluating their business model and what it is they actually want to achieve. And so we've had a chance to take a bit of a pause and a rethink about where we're going as businesses and individuals within business. So I think really getting clarity on that, what's important, rethinking in their people's the business model for the business, but also what true value that businesses are bringing, because that's what we did previously may not be what we do in the future, but the value we bring still may be pretty much the same. So I think preparing for it is to look at the opportunity to reevaluate what it is that we are actually providing and see how best we can position that to take advantage of that growth I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. I was reading an interesting book, which is called The Bezos Letters, and Jeff Bezos, who runs Amazon, he writes a letter to his shareholders every year. And the first letter he wrote in 1997, he had one comment at the bottom that he refers to in every other letter. And the comment he says is, it's always day one. At Amazon, it's always day one. Now, it's an interesting concept, right? Because I saw this interview and one of his team members said, what does day 2 look like? And he laughed, and then he said, day 2 is stasis and day 3 is death. Right. In his mind, every day is a new day, and you don't ever rest on your laurels. And I think this has forced people to reset their view, hasn't it? This whole experience of 2020, people are saying, well, I'm starting again. What am I going to do differently now that I've got that opportunity?
Yeah, spot on. Yeah.
Brian, you mentioned about technology. You know, I heard it said that in the last 6 months, we've adopted 6 years worth of technology. In the last 6 months, with all the adoption, the adoption of Zoom and working from home, telecommuting. What do you think people need to be doing right now?
Yeah, look, I think a lot of technology's been out there, and there's definitely a wealth of technology that people can access that will help their businesses. And I agree. I think 6 years, if that's the figure, 6 years has been crammed into one. It's really forced people to reassess and reevaluate. I think thinking that bricks and mortar retail and bricks and mortar offices is the way that of the future. I think what we've seen in 2020 has really challenged that. And I think it's going to be a blend of both. How much is digital? How much of it remains in that proportion of digital will depend on business owners and how well they change their mindsets to doing business in a different way and it being acceptable.
I had one of my team members ask me today, so when we come back to the office, can we still work from home if we choose to? And I said, absolutely. If you want to work from home, it makes zero difference to me now. If anything, I'm happy for you to work from home on the days you want, but you may want to come in the office. It's now totally your choice. I wouldn't have said that 6 months ago.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a combination of both. I don't think it's going to be strictly all office, and I definitely don't think that long term it's going to be strictly all remote. I think it's going to be a blend, and that will depend on the business, the industry, the type of clients, and that will determine the outcome for a lot of businesses in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Gerald, all this money that the government's throwing at us, I was talking to someone last week and they actually said there's going to be the buying frenzy of a lifetime coming up with all of these businesses that aren't going to make it through. They're going to be liquidating and they're going to be selling stock and they're going to be letting go of their team members and their clients are going to be out there in the marketplace. How do you think people should be utilising the cash that they're collecting from the government?
Yeah, look, actually government is providing concession exactly for the same thing. For example, there is instant asset write-off and it's quite significant, quite generous. I'll give you an example. If there was a trucking company and they bought, let's say 50 trucks, they could actually expense 100% of that expenditure in 1 year, which would make a great big deal of difference to their bottom line because they might not have any tax to pay. And they've got all these assets. The whole idea is to boosting the economy. Another session which I can think of is actually carry back provisions. And these were like there about 4 or 5 decades ago. What that means is that if you made a current loss in your current business because of what's going on, you could actually carry backwards these losses and claim it against your past profits. So what that means is, I'll give an example. Let's say somebody made a big profit in 2013 year, and let's say they paid $1 million in tax, and they made a huge loss today of, let's say, $3 million. They could actually go back and apply that loss against a profit back then and get a substantial refund. And there is no date to it, so they can go back as you want.
They can do that now?
Yeah, effectively, yeah. I think it's passed to the parliament, and that's a significant concession and structuring exercise people should be looking at. That, yes, I'm making a loss, but what about the profit I've made in past years? And you can get cash from the past profits and tax you've paid.
That's amazing.
There are some limitations. It only applies to corporate entities at this point in time, and industries are making some submission that it should be extended to other forms of businesses like partnership or trust. So I think that'll come through, but they're quite significant in their nature.
Fantastic. So it really sounds like there's lots of things that people should be taking into account for 2021 that didn't even exist last year.
Absolutely.
And in their planning, they should be thinking about these things and really just making sure that they're moving forward and sort of on the front foot rather than the back foot as we sort of launch into 2021.
Right.
Any last comments from you guys? Maybe just go around. If you had one tip for people looking at 2021 as a growth year, what would it be? Ian?
Hire the right stuff.
Hire the right stuff. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brian?
I'm going to say reset your mindset. I think that's going to be key. Having the right mindset. It's all there, as Gerald and Ian and everyone have sort of spoken about. The opportunities there. It's just how you see them.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. And Gerald, from you, one piece of advice?
Plan and restructure.
Restructure?
And plan.
And plan. So just restructure and plan according to the new information that's available.
Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. Guys, thanks so much for your time today. Really enjoyed the quick conversation. Hopefully some people listening got some great tips out of this. So thank you.